right, I'm gonna show a few things that have been helping. Now I say helping with the spring fever as of late. Do I still have rough days? 1000%. But these are some strategies that have been helping. First up, we sat with my students. We talked about how we want to feel at school and what do we need to do to do that. And you guys, when I say that, I reference this chart every time that they're acting up. I just kind of say, remember guys, we wanted to keep our environment calm. What can we do to do that? And it kind of helps refocus them. And every morning we come back to this board and just kind of talk about these things. Today, we brainstormed some expected and unexpected behaviors. We just kind of talked about behaviors we could do during a whole class instruction, which ones are expected, which ones are unexpected, and we kind of went through how we're feeling, how does that impact other people, how do we feel when we're treated that way, and then vice versa. And today we kind of really been referencing this like crazy. I made this morning slide that we've referred to today. I had the kids check in with the zone of regulation, and I'll kind of show you what that Google form looks like in a minute. We came to the rug and we really set our intention for the day. So what our mood is going to be, and again, referring back to that chart I showed you guys in the beginning, how we're going to make sure we make that happen. Here's a Google form, nothing fancy, has the zones of regulation. They tell me what color they were in, what coping strategy they're going to do to try and get into green. And then they told me the one word that they wanted to focus on today that was on our chart. And then the last thing is just being really strict and firm with your consequences, and being consistent. I know that sounds like redundant and you're probably so tired right now, but stopping, having the conversation. We do a call and response and it's not the level that I wanted to do. We're going to do it again. Sorry guys, so that was a 5 out of 10. I think we could do better. And just kind of just setting that tone of you mean business.
This behavior tip just might change your life. It took me a while to realize that this works, but it does. So when a student is escalated, and you know when a student's escalated because they're lying under the floor, they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, they're breaking, they're kicking things, whatever it is, they're escalated, you can tell. That means that student is in their downstairs brain. That means that they are in a fight or flight mode and they are not in a place to reason or work through things in a ready mindset. We don't want to be addressing those tough situations until a student is calm and regulated and in their upstairs brain. Right now they're in their downstairs brain, we have to get them to their upstairs brain. What are we going to do when a student's having those tough behaviors? We're not going to talk about all the things they're doing wrong. We're going to try and distract them and get them to a place where they can calm their bodies and get back on track. Because once a student is calm and regulated and in their upstairs brain, then we can start talking about the expectations and things we need to work through. But oftentimes that just looks like distracting the student until you get them to that ready mindset. What's your favorite pizza flavor? Do you hear that? Does that sound like little bugs? Oh my gosh, did we match today? It's like we planned it. Whatever it takes, distraction works.
This is part 2 of behavior strategies from an EBD teacher. Today we are talking about attention-seeking behaviors, or should I say connection-seeking behaviors. If you're not struggling with this behavior, but you're struggling with a different behavior, comment it down below and I'll be sure to get to it in one of my next videos. Okay, so attention/connection seeking. Tip number 1, when the student is not taking part in the attention-seeking behavior, give them a ton of positive reinforcement publicly. Tip number 2, when the student is partaking in the attention-seeking behavior, you have to ignore it, as long as the student is being safe. Tip number 3, if you have to address the behavior, so if the student isn't being safe or it's just to the point where you have to address it, remove the audience before you address the behavior. So yes, this might be a room clear, or it might be just sending the kiddos out to recess 2 minutes early. Addressing it in front of the class might be exactly what the student wants. Number 4, come up with an attention-based reward for the student when they don't partake in this attention-seeking behavior. Rewards could be teacher helper for the day, eating lunch with a favorite staff member, a positive phone call to home, sitting in a special spot in the classroom, or just going to say hi to a favorite teacher. Number 5, continuously work on confidence building skills. You can do this with your entire class. Best time to do it would maybe be during a morning meeting time. So students can work on identifying strengths, identifying interests, and complimenting each other. You really don't have to make it hard. And number 6, teach the student how to ask for attention in a positive and appropriate way. So this would look like teaching them how to identify that they're feeling like they need some attention, and then giving them strategies to communicate this, which could be asking for a hug, asking to go on a walk with a favorite teacher or a friend, or even journaling and sharing it with the teacher when there's time to share it. Drop your favorite attention-seeking strategies below so that other people can learn from those too. Oh, and don't forget to follow so that you can see part 3, and go to this playlist so you can see the one before this. The video before this was all about task initiation.
Teachers, don't let your students get you unraveled. What if one phrase could keep you in control no matter what a student says? It's called the broken record strategy. And you say this over and over again like a broken record. For example, I hear you, but right now it's time to get back to your math. I hear you, but right now it's time to move on to reading. I hear you, but right now it's time for you to go out the door. The whole point is for them to acknowledge that you heard them, but also that you mean business. And if you say this, even if they push their buttons, you're not going to become unraveled because you're going to stay in your zone. So try this today. I hear you, but right now it's time to fill in the blank. Let me know how it goes in the comment section.
As an art teacher, I see like 120 kids a day, and I use many classroom management systems, but this one is grounded in positive behavior interventions and supports principles, focusing on consistency, clear expectations, and positive reinforcement. I give out tickets when students follow directions and clean up responsibly. They go into a fishbowl by grade, and I draw names every 9 weeks, and I call their names on the announcements. That's our favorite part. Winners also get to come to the art room and choose art-themed prizes like sketchbooks, invisible ink pens, and gel pens. I always take notes on who has won so kids don't win like 7 times in a row. Research shows that when behavior expectations are taught and reinforced positively, it increases motivation and builds a stronger classroom community, especially in high-traffic classrooms like specials. What do you guys do?
A lot of you guys have asked about what I use for my behavior management classroom, and I'm going to go ahead and walk you through that today. This is very similar to whole brain teaching or the Super Improver if you're familiar with that. Basically, this is a system where my students are trying to level up throughout the year until they get to the ultimate eagle. All of the animal characters that are used throughout the year are part of our learner profile words that go along with IB, which is International Baccalaureate, which is the school that I teach for. Every child is going to start off with Communicator Cardinal in the beginning of the year. So each child will get one of these cards. I put them on a little ring so that way they are private to the students and they know what levels they're on, but it's not shown for everybody else in the classroom. The first level is just 5 stars, so it won't take too long for them to reach that level until they can fill their card up. So they're earning a star for positive behaviors that I catch them doing in the classroom. In the first couple weeks of school, we create a classroom treaty together, and this looks something like where we are trying to come up with ideas for classroom agreements for being caring and safe, being principled, and also being respectful. So these are things that I'm going to be looking for throughout the year, and I have these 2 big eyeballs up here because each week we will pick a couple different things that we're trying to focus and look for, and those are the things I'm trying to give stars for. Once they fill up their star card, they're able to choose from the treasure box. This is getting ready to get an overhaul makeover soon, but inside there are things like coupons, little trinkets and toys, Hot Wheel cars, squishies, things that all the kids love. Once the student has filled up their first level and completed it, chose from the treasure box, they get a special note sent home that says, hip hip hooray, you upped a level today, and then they get a little spirit stick that looks like this. The spirit stick will match what the card is that they filled up, and it's got a little hole that they can add to their ring. You can find these on spiritmonkey.com, and they match the words exactly what is on the leveling up system that I use. Students will continue to work up each level as the year progresses, and you'll notice too that the star count gets harder. So the first 3 levels are just 5 stars, then it goes to 10, 15, and then 20. One of the favorite parts is the few students that reach the ultimate eagle. They get to have Flappy, our classroom eagle, and they also get a actual medal, which is a huge motivator for the students. They get to keep this eagle at their seat up until someone else gets ultimate eagle or until the week is done. We are also working towards a whole class goal. So there's individual and then there's also whole class. Whole class starries are just for compliments that we're getting from other teachers. I'm catching the whole class working maybe at like a level 1 when I need them to be. And so they can earn stars throughout their day. Their goal is to try to fill up this whole 10 frame, and then they are working towards a whole group prize. So that might be a stuffy day, it could be a sweet treat, it might be a PJ day, or sometimes one of their favorites is just a mystery because they never know what it's gonna be. If this is a classroom management resource that you think you could use in your classroom, good news is I have all of these available in my Teachers Pay Teachers shop, and it's linked with all the instructions for setup and the printables that you're gonna need.
sick of students destroying your classroom, yelling at you, hurting others, screaming, all of those super intense behaviors, the easiest way to stop that from happening is by figuring out when they're about to get to that point way before they get to that point. Here are some signs that a student might be getting to that point. Screenshots, so you have it for later. When you notice that your student needs a break, I suggest giving them some type of choice. My favorite way to do this is by using a choice board like this. So you're gonna be able to give them choice in the amount of time they're taking a break for and a choice in the activity. So let's say they choose a 10-minute break. They're gonna flip this over and put it on their time limit. And then let's say that they choose fidgets for their 10-minute break. So you'll set the timer for 10 minutes and they'll take a little fidget break. Another one of my favorite breaks for kiddos are these interactive breathing cards. Kids will interact with these while they take deep breaths with their finger or with noises, by counting, positive affirmations, and so much more. You can find these and a bunch of other break resources in my Miss OJ Teaches TPT.
It's time for the first teacher behavior management hack of 2025. This one is one of my absolute favorites. I can't believe I haven't spoken about this yet. This is the magic movement word. This behavior tip is used when you are giving a lot of directions and you don't want your students to move until you finish giving all the directions. So at the beginning of the day, I will pick a magic movement word. Typically, I will look up the National Day calendar. Every single day is a different national day. It just gives me a variety of different words to use because it does get a little bit tricky to come up with random words after a while. So it's kind of a fun little thing to look up what national day it is. The kids always ask, what national day is it? So they know what the word is. And then we use that word for the whole day when it's time to move. So for example, I'll say you're going to take your math workbooks, you're going to take your pencils, you're going to go to your groups, and when you get to your groups, you're going to start on page 85. But you have to wait for the magic word so that they don't start taking out their books and getting unfocused as to what you're saying is the next step. They have to wait for the magic word before they can go. This has helped tremendously with my fourth graders in listening carefully and knowing what to do when they get there. I have way less students saying, what am I doing? What page are we on? Things like that, because they know they have to listen attentively for that magic word. Sometimes I will use the magic word like in a sentence to try to trick them. Other times I'll just say whatever the magic word is, spaghetti, and they'll go to their seats. What's really fun is they're so into this that they actually asked me with their positive behavior points, can they purchase choosing what the magic word is? So now that's an available option for them, that they're so into what the magic word is that they even want to pick what it is and they're willing to pay their behavior points for it. With many of my other tips, this is also an awesome strategy because the kids encourage each other. If they start getting up or taking out their books, they'll say, she didn't say the magic word. So they're really listening to what the magic word is, they're waiting for it, and they're excited for it, which makes this such a successful strategy. I would absolutely suggest giving this a try. You don't have to use a national day. You can use any old word. Just try to use a word that you use a lot in your normal conversation. Like, I won't use math words because I'm teaching math. So I try to use random foods or other things to keep them on their toes a little bit. But give this a try. Let me know how it goes, and stay tuned for the rest of your behavior tips coming in 2025.
All right, hi guys. So I am back in my classroom, and you all inquired about what is dropping numbers, and I'm going to show you because I'm back in my classroom. And it is a system, a point system that my school uses. Okay, so this is what, hold on, let me do a closer view. This is what the number chart looks like. It has the scholars' names and it goes up to a plus. So it's 1 through plus. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a plus. I can show you. So 1 and then plus. Obviously, plus is the highest. 1 is the lowest. 3 is the middle. Scholars typically start off the day at a 3. Anything for positive reinforcement, anything that is positive for like their behaviors, we bump their numbers. Anything that is, obviously not in alignment with proper behavior protocol, we drop their numbers. So we can also use it to incentivize as it relates to, sometimes I do it for scholars that are meeting expectations, did well on test scores, like I'll bump their numbers. Like I said, the highest is 5 and plus. Then we put them into a system, and then at the end of the month, I don't necessarily know if it's every month, but they get invited to a party. So it is a system for the school that the school uses to like as a behavior. So like red light, green light, yellow light, they do numbers at this particular school. So I hope that helps. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know.
The best behavior management system, and all you need is an expo marker. When students enter the classroom and have a seat at their desk, they immediately know to either draw 3 new X's or correct the X's from the previous class. These X's act as their behavior throughout the class. That means I never have to interrupt my instruction. If someone is off task or doing something they are not supposed to be doing, I simply erase an X. Their goal is to keep all 3 X's. If they lose all 3, of course, there are consequences in place. If they keep all 3, they are rewarded with our PBIS incentive here at Sterlington with 3 Panther Bucks for their excellent behavior, never interrupting instruction, never bringing attention to the negative behavior, and easy and cheap. Hope this helps.
Let's talk about the infamous secret student strategy. Now, this video went viral over the spring, and I have a lot of new comments, like people finding it on their For You page again. And with the new school year, I figured I'd talk about my favorite behavior management strategy that I use in my kindergarten classroom. So, it is called secret student. You may can rename it to mystery student, spy student, mystery student, something like that. But be careful with using the word secret on TikTok. Anyway, the basis behind it is I keep this on my board. It's a laminated piece of paper that I designed off of TPT, and I have a magnet on my board. I write a name of my student behind it, and I cover it, and I do it in the morning, and it stays covered all day long, okay? This also goes back to why I don't like behavior management, because it embarrasses students. This keeps you from doing that, okay? So basically, I have a name, I write it down. I keep a running notebook, like a designated notebook just for secret student by my desk. So I rotate through every single student, and then I restart the named list. So it's not like I don't play favorites. It's not top of the pyramid today and, you know, the same secret student over and over. I give every student a chance very fairly. So keep that. It's another big thing people were worried about. And so I watch them throughout the day. I also tell my assistant, so only me and her know. And if they're making good choices all day, like if they're helping their friends, you know, listening, following directions, then at the very end of the day, they do a little drum roll and do a reveal, and I literally slide it over, and their name is right here. So if it's Samantha per se, Samantha, you're a secret student, you did great choices today. I'm so proud of you. You know, I've been watching you, and you are doing great. So then Samantha gets to go to the treasure box. That's my prize for the day. Treasure box includes fidget toys, some lollipops, like keychains, whatever I collect over the year, just push in there. So they love a treasure box. Who doesn't love a treasure box in kindergarten? Okay? But if I have been watching them and they did not make good choices, say they were running around the room, they were talking out of turn a lot, like just things that they know that against the rules. And the more that the year goes on, like the harder I get on them, like especially like in August, September, I'm a little more lenient, obviously. But like after Christmas, you know the rules by now. After 100 days of school, we know what we're supposed to be doing. So if they don't follow directions, their name doesn't get revealed. I say at the end of the day, again, it's like at the very end of the day, like we are packed up, we are ready to go, like 5 minutes until we walk out the door. And I say, unfortunately, my secret student did not make it today. And I say, you know, I do not say the name, okay? No humiliation, no public embarrassment. Again, only me and the assistant know who it is, so the kids have no clue. And it takes away the embarrassment. And so everyone, I'm like, okay, so tomorrow, everyone needs to try again to have an even better day tomorrow. So then tomorrow, we try again. And sometimes I will leave the same student up for, if it takes them 3 days, I'll leave them up for 3 days. If not, I'll change the name and just kind of like sees what the vibe is, and I'll reset. So again, be careful with the word secret on TikTok. But I love it. It is, again, one of my favorite behavior management strategies. I found it in my long-term sub placement, and I've stuck with it, and my kids really respond well to it. And I've also looked at like class store alternatives, and that gets so expensive. Like they did it in my student teaching, so expensive. Like, cause you're buying those things, unless you get donations, of course, but like you're gonna have to replenish that throughout the whole school year. Treasure box, 1 kid a day. and I love it. So any questions, leave them down below. Again, I've done videos on this before, but it's popping back up, which I love. So comment below, and if you have any questions about Secret Student.
I'm going to show you one of my favorite and most simple classroom management techniques. All you need are some stickers, and I call it Superstar. I know, real original. Okay, so what I did is I bought a big book of stickers from Amazon. This might have been like $9 or $10, and there's a whole book, and they're really cool, different size stickers. The fact that they're in a book makes it super official. And you literally just find a superstar for everything and anything where you want the kids to be following expectations or rules. For example, I'll say, I'm looking for a lineup superstar while you're having the kids line up, and you're gonna say, it's gonna be someone who's standing on the line, hands are to themselves, their voice is off. So you're saying the expectations and the things that you're looking for so the students know how they're supposed to behave. You can have a morning meeting superstar, carpet time superstar, a math time superstar, go noodle superstar, even just a walking back to your chair superstar. Literally anything where the students have a desired behavior or an expectation that they need to follow. You can also pick more than one. I do that sometimes. And you gotta hype it up, and you gotta say, my morning meeting superstar is a boy, and his name starts with an M, and all the kids are gonna say Michael, and you say, woohoo, narwhal banana sticker. So effective, I swear.